Hey everyone, this is Prince Brightstar, and boy, did we get a big announcement here today. So we have basically news of an expansion coming for Phantasy Star Online 2 called New Genesis. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of do a bit of a breakdown of this here, and basically just kind of take a look at the trailer shot by shot and see what we can actually find that's interesting about it, and kind of give, hopefully, get some ideas as to where this game is going to be taking place. Um, just before we hop into this, though, I do want to point out here this is coming off the North American YouTube webpage here. This is the latest entry in the PSO2 series. PSO2 NGS was announced at Microsoft's online conference, the Xbox Game Showcase, on Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. Celebrating PSO's 20th anniversary, PSO2 NGS is the latest entry in the series, updating PSO2's game system and graphics engine. And they're planning to release this on a global scale, including Japan and North America, in 2021. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop right into this, and let's see what we can actually get out of this. And yeah, I am here on YouTube today, specifically just because this is content that's more designed for YouTube than a live stream on Twitch. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop right in. Let's get this going here. So starting off with the Sega logo. All right, so we got a bird flying through here. Got a beach-like area. Initial thought might have made one think of potentially Galderval Island back in Phantasy Star Online, but as we'll see soon enough, that is actually not the case here. Let's keep going. And there is the PSO 20th anniversary logo. So the outline of that looking like the Pioneer ship there. The island, or rather the place that we're looking here, does appear to be pretty tropical, as we are seeing what to be sort of like palm trees here, in a way. In the back, we have this tower here. I'll get to that in a second. We also have this large moon here, but the question is going to be, is that actually a moon, or is that a planet? And that's kind of always the question when it comes to this series. And hey, everybody that's joining in here. Now, this tower in particular, I did want to make a quick note about it, in that this tower basically looks kind of similar to some of the towers that we've seen in Idola Phantasy Star Saga. I'm not saying that that's where this is here, but it's definitely a point in that direction here. And that kind of goes against what I've been saying for a little bit here, in that everything that's happening with Phantasy Star Online 2 is heading in the direction of it being a prequel to Phantasy Star, the original Algol series. Let's continue on with the trailer here, and then I'll kind of leap back to that once we're done here. So, all right. Now this shot here is kind of interesting. We've got this little kind of spike in the road, almost as if like it's a waypoint. And then if we kind of inch forward here a little bit, there we go. So we can actually see there's also this kind of lamppost here, and it also has these signs which point in directions over there. And we'll see that again in just a moment here. Again, a nice serene field that we've got here, a well-laid path as well here. But you can also see that the ground is also kind of metallic in a way over here. Alright, and then here we have a shot of a little river here. We seem to be in some sort of a forest area at this point here. Once again, there's something going on with the ground here, because we can kind of see these blue lines here, and I can't tell if that's metallic or if that's actually the color of the ores in there. Actually, no, let me step back again real quick here, because I just noticed, right here, you can also see those lines in the tree as well here. So it's kind of interesting that we're seeing that here. All right, let's keep going here. Whoops, I didn't want to skip through that. Here we go. Alright, so, once again, looking at this shot here, we can see another one of those sort of waypoints over here, this yellow marker over here. And then we've got these blue lights that kind of go from the ground up to the ridge here. Not really sure what that's about. Also got some kind of interesting terrain here, with the fact that the ground is kind of rising up like this, and yet you still got trees growing on that. Let's see. Don't see anything on the right side here. Let's continue. Alright, so here's kind of one of the first creatures that we see from this trailer here. And these seem to be kind of like, either reindeer or maybe moose. And the reason I say moose, we kind of have seen an enemy like this in the past in the series, but it's not. This definitely is not a direct connection here. If I go over here, in Phantasy Star 3 Generations of Doom, there was a moose-like enemy that you could fight that had antlers, like not as many antlers, but it's like one of the only real antler-like creatures we've ever seen in this series, as far as I'm aware. Let's see. In the background, we've also got what looks like a man-made bridge here. This right here, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. That almost looks like it's been pushed off the bridge or something. Alright, so a brand new, expansive world. And Lithium, it's possible, yeah, the glowy lines, could be related to something photon-related. Let's see, so another river, once again, trees, having that, as well as, well, not so much the ground this time, but we do see it in the roots here. Alright, and then over here to the right, we can kind of see another structure, another light over there. Actually, this might all be kind of in the same area. This might be, a reverse look at where we were looking previously. And then over here, we have another structure, it looks like. Alright, now here in this scene, once again, we got those lines in the trees. Also got these little, I kind of want to call them like they're almost like photon sprites, if you want to call it something like that. Not really sure if they're actually alive or not. They could just be like just little lights. So we're going to get into that Venera in a little bit here. In terms of kind of where I think the story is headed here. Alright, let's continue on. Once again, another set of trees. These seem to have something hanging down from them. I can't tell if these are, like, part of the tree or if these are, like bands or something that were just put on the trees here. I also got some really glowy flowers here, these yellowish flowers. And there they are, the mascot of the series at this point, the Rappies. They're singing, they're all happy, and hey, there's another waypoint right there. That's one of the possibilities, Rooks. There, we'll get into that later on. All right, so here we have our new Ash stand-in, or it might be the same Ash. We really don't know at this point here. They're gonna hop over this stone here, and off to the right we did see a path. We see still more of those waypoints in the background here, and even over here at this point. They do a roll, and coming to back what I said earlier, right here, we can see another of those signposts here, and this seems to be pointing in the direction of different destinations, potentially. And so one of the things that I think they're doing here, based on the fact that we've got kind of signs like this, is this may actually be a full-on open world expansion for Phantasy Star Online. So it's not, like how areas are randomized currently in all the different areas. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think this is going to be an actual open world map at this point here. Let's see. We can also see another of those waypoints. Looks like man-made structures here, built into the rocks. Not exactly sure what this is in the background here. This potentially could be man-made as well. Just by the shape of it here, it looks kind of hexagonal in a way. Let's see. Our Ash stand-in here, of course, is using a sword there, or a saber, I guess. Alright, so this is kind of important here. So, Ash just did a jump, and then he did a double jump. Now watch what he does carefully here. He finishes the second jump, and now he starts gliding down. So that makes me think that whatever's going on here, we may actually be getting potentially free flying in the game. So, or if not free flying, then at least a slower fall on the world here. Let's see. Yeah, that's about how high as they're gonna get. Alright, so have another river running through here, river running all the way back there. I'm not seeing so many waypoints in this particular case. Maybe those are them back there, but I don't think so. Okay, so they just landed, and now take a look at this. We got some sort of text now on the on those blue lines here, which means that potentially messages could be inscribed into these lines as you're looking around the different areas. We've also got all these squares kind of floating in the area here, which is really interesting because that almost seems like it's ether in a way, rather. But we really don't know anything about what this is. The other thing it could potentially be, given that Ash here is kind of running in the direction of these could also be some sort of like a clairvoyance in terms of where a destination might be. Let's see here. Alright, and then we have a shot of what appears to be some sort of a town here. And this is another thing that makes me think that this is going to be open world here. The fact that you've kind of got this town here, and then you've got different paths that break off from the town, leading out. Unfortunately, we can't really make out what kind of buildings these actually are. They all seem to have like blue roofs over here, and then some gray ones over here. This almost looks like it might be some sort of a, like maybe either an amphitheater or an open market or something like that. And then coming down from the sky, we've got these meteors, which potentially may be the enemies dropping into the world here. Once again, here's our Ash stand-in. He's looking a bit younger than he did in PSO2. He's also got this, I want to say this 04 on his arm there, or on his shoulder blade, or whatever we want to call that. And then we have the reverse shot where they're looking down here. Let's see here. Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Joy CC. PSO2 was definitely expanded based off of PSO's premise, although I don't believe they're actually linked at this point here. So they do the dive down into the telepool, as it's called in the North American version of PSO2, and then once again they start gliding down here, or rather, in this case, they get propulsion from their boots, which once again makes me think there could be some kind of flying element to what's going on here. And then here we have kind of the first real enemy that they're fighting here. Now this guy is kind of, it's interesting. They remind me, and somebody else in my Discord kind of got this as well here. They seem like they're kind of a walking seed vance. No, not that one. That's the Savaltis. We're gonna get to that later. Where was it? Let's see. I'm trying to find where that was again. Here we go. Yeah, so the way that they kind of got like those tentacles coming off their back and things like that. So that's kind of where that kind of is here. They've also got this chest piece in the middle here, kind of harkening to Iron Man a little bit, but I'm wondering if that's actually going to be a weak point for them potentially. Their claw. The other thing I'll note about this is that this also seems to be man-made in a way because of how, once again, they've got sort of like these little slits along their, I don't know what you want to call these, scales or something like that. But yeah, this is one of the new creatures in the expansion. They also seem to do something to the ground here, whereby they're turning it blue. Once again, in the background, we have one of the man-made towers here as well. All right, and here Ash is using their Rising Edge attack here, and then now you got two of them out on the field here, and they also seem to have a ranged attack as well as a melee attack here. And then unknown threats. Something I want to point out here, the mini-map here seems to be giving you a lot of information here. Right now, we're looking at the mini-map. We can see here this red square here, which seems to indicate the boss. Yellow might be for players in your party. And this line here seems to be some sort of a path line. And then we've also got this marker here, which, as we'll see soon, we'll see later on, this is going to change to a sun, which means this is some sort of a day-night thing that's been implemented into the game as well here. Alright, once again, structure in the background, structure over here. This is called a Pedis sword, or Pedis sword. I'm not quite sure what we're going to actually go with there. But it also indicates weak to ice here. So rather than having the element show up in the corner anymore for what the enemy name is and what they're weak to, that's now going to show up directly on the target itself. And then the names you're seeing here, Ash, Sue, Gilliam, and Rupika, these are the same NPCs that were in the original Phantasy Star Online. So that's where they come from. I also want to say I like the font that they're using for the numbers here. It kind of reminds me of back during the first alpha for Phantasy Star Online 2. It kind of has that look to it. Let's see here. So once again, Ash is dashing forward. This appears to be a just attack or perfect attack ring here. Sue is playing the role of a force here, it looks like. And you are still able to dodge out of the way there. Let's see here. And yes, we're going to see that in a bit here, Joyce, to see about the 6 out of 4. Possibly NPCs related in that. Once again, now we're in the nighttime here. And this thing has quite a dash attack there as well. That looked like ignition parry there. Alright, now we get into a full motion video here, and we can see Ash puts his sword away and grabs a rifle instead. We don't know yet if that means that you can switch classes on the fly, or if that means that he's just using all class weapons here. We'll have to see about that one. We do have some sort of a marker here. This almost could be like a mining point in a way. We'll have to see what that actually is, though. Alright, so they're still fighting it. They switched to a rifle here. That looked like a tracked end that they fired off just then. One moment, folks, here. It's getting a little loud outside. Alright, I think we'll be okay now. So this enemy is a different enemy than the one that we were fighting before. No more tentacles around it. Instead, seems... I don't know, this still seems kind of man-made because you can kind of see, like, this eye here, which seems kind of robotic in a way. This is also called a Nagrus, and this one also seems to be weak to ice. And once again, we can see here where the sun is now out here for the icon. Also have a number of other targets. You can also see the traditional triangle mini-boss here. So we can't... let's see. That's actually what we're looking at right now, I think. So I'm not quite sure what all these other dots are, because I don't see that many other... Well, okay, yeah. This dot is this player over here, so then the other two must be behind them there. Alright, so that was a Foy attack, or potentially raw Foy that just went off there. That Ash has now switched to as a force. Let's see. Once again, structure in the background. This appears to be another of those trees. Also have this ring that's forming around Ash here. Although, actually, no, that looks... No, you know what? I think that's a phantom attack. I think so. I'm not as familiar with Phantom, but I remember it having an attack that seemed to look like that. Okay, so back on the rifle here, another of these spots here. Actually, this may be a continuation of the prior one. This weapon here, that seems to be either a wand or potentially a rod. Yeah, it might be a toil as well, potentially. That looked to be, what was that? Satellite aim, I think? And now we've got this one here, still fighting the Nagrus. That's Rising Edge again. Back on the rifle. What is this called? This one doesn't even have a name here. So... we'll have to see what that ends up being in the end. We can also see these, looks like we got some exposed roots here, for the tree. They also seem to have the ability to power up, or at least I think they're glowing a little bit more. Let me go back real quick here. Yeah, they're definitely glowing more than they were before. Okay, and, yes, I do see that here. They do have, the Photon Blast there. They also have this new rifle attack here on the right bumper here. And I'm kind of wondering what that is, if that's a new version for the, actually, no, they never had a weapon action before, did they? So... we'll have to see here what that's going to be in the end. But this boss is kind of reminding me of how the Vol Dragon could power up over time and start glowing even more. This appears to be one of the photon arts that you can customize for the rifle that allows you to kind of move around freely as you're firing, or potentially the slide impact photon art. Or they might just be dodging. I'm not entirely sure about that. Let's see. Okay, now we're in a cutscene, or a full motion video again here. Alright, let's actually go back real quick here. So, the area that we're in This appears to be within some sort of a man-made structure here, so potentially even that town that we saw earlier could have come under attack, potentially. This is also an interesting look for the cast over here, so we'll have to see if that's one of the new outfits. It's kind of unknown what's going to carry over into this version. We'll be seeing about that in the future. Alright, so this one here, this is why I pulled out that picture of the Savaltis earlier. This kind of looks like what a Savaltis is, and I'll kind of get to that in a moment here. Alright, it's a Daedal sword. So actually, didn't we see that before? Let me take it back again here. Yeah, that's still a Daedal sword. Alright, so True Adventure starts now. Looks like even over here, these plants seem to have the photon energy there. Alright, I want to back this up real quick here. So if you kind of look through the blast here, you can also see that it looks like the animation is kind of pixelated or not filled in all the way. I'm not quite sure what's up with all that here. More to come, I guess. And then here we have another full motion video. Daedal sword apparently has this eyeball there. So, not sure what that's all about. And there we get the title for the new expansion, New Genesis Phantasy Star Online 2. So, coming in 2021. So, the big question that I have is, where are we? And to be honest, I have no idea where we are. I mean, we have elements that seem to point at Geralt, from that Savaltis-like creature that we saw a moment ago. We have elements of what seem to be the structures seen in Idola Phantasy Star Saga. And the other thing is, this whole time, there's also been all this symbolism building up regarding how Phantasy Star Online 2 seems to have been that story, that legend that was told of in the opening sequence for Phantasy Star End of the Millennium. It's possible that they might be in engine. To me though, they just kind of look like full motion, at least for the moment there. But it's possible that it could have been in engine. But yeah, basically with everything that's been going on here, the reason I'm bringing Algol into this, the series from Phantasy Star, way back when it was on the Sega Master System and the Genesis, I made a prediction a while ago, talking about kind of where I thought things were headed in the series. And I made that statement that the Shiva-Oracle War is that war spoken of in End of the Millennium's opening, leading to the creation of Algol to seal Shiva away, which is basically what's about to happen for the end of Phantasy Star Online 2 proper. And yeah, basically, I kind of went into all these different things that we were seeing throughout the games. The Akashic Record being not just only of the past and also of the future, and Omega was a dream where certain facts may have been confused. One thing that we never got a clear answer to is what in the world were Elisa and Rutsu even doing in there in the first place, and that's why that's kind of one of the things that set me down this path. In the first place, that PSO2 could be the prequel to the classic Algol series. Of course, there was also the presence of Lashik in the form of Varna, and the fact that if Varna, now that we know that Varna dies on Omega, that allows him to then be reincarnated on whatever form Omega is going to take once Shiva is sealed away, and the I guess what's being called now the primordial darkness, to see what's kind of put them both away for the millions of years it's going to take until the original classic series begins. This point right here, the profound darkness in the edge appears female in the form, referring to Shiva, but we also got, where is it? Not that one. We got this recently here, which seemed to be the form of Shiva over here, with all the different spikes. Granted, not everything is as it seems here, because I've since learned that these spikes here are actually detached from the rest of the body. But potentially over time, this growth here could have grown. And then, of course, we have, I had this point here about the Dark Falls Aru entity that attacked early on in Episode 4, used an attack that was eerily similar to the Black Wave. And then we have that happening yet again here. So if you look at, it's kind of hard to see here, but if you look at this white ring around this primordial darkness's mouth, and then you kind of compare it with this here, and how the beam kind of travels out. And here's the thing, there are multiple beams that fire here. This is just a still shot here, and the reason you don't see all the beams at the same time, like you do over here, is because in the original classic series, the way that they presented this was they actually flashed the screen like this and to black really rapidly. It actually had the potential concern of epilepsy in the way that they were flashing the screen like that. So I think that's why they went with this version instead here, where it's like firing 1, 2, 3, 4 real quick. But that's kind of like all of what I'm thinking in terms of why everything is leading into Algol here. So, once again, I have no idea where we are in all this. It could be Graal, because we do know that connection exists. There is, coming up in the North American side, there is an event coming up that's going to bring, and this already happened on the Japanese side, there's going to be an event that's going to bring Emilia and Vivienne from the Phantasy Star Portable series, back on the PlayStation Portable, over to the Ark ship. And so if this is Graal, that would make sense from that perspective. If this world is Vanduul from Idola Phantasy Star Saga, that makes sense as well, because we've had people like Fina, Matoy, Luther, and a bunch of other of the cast of PSO2 running around on that planet. And then, of course, we've got my theory about Algol. It's possible also that we don't really have anything concrete on this yet, that Vanduul could also be like a proto-Algol, but we really don't have any proof of that aside from the fact that some of the symbols that were found on Algol are kind of being found on Vanduul as well. But yeah, that's kind of where we are with this trailer. We got a lot of information about it. I did want to back up real quick and show off the party thing. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So I know it's kind of hard to see it here, but if you look in this corner here, you can see 6 out of 4 members in the party. And usually if there's more than 4 members in the party, that usually means there's some sort of NPC along for the ride as well. And Apollo, yes, I completely agree. We just don't have enough information about what's going to be transferred at this point. If we come back out here, we do have a tweet here saying that from the NA team, yes, we will share more on that soon. To Gothalian's tweet here, will current characters matter? So we don't know if that just means that the character is going to be coming across, or if all of our items and cosmetics and everything else is going to be coming across. But the fact that the way that they're presenting this, to say that this is a game system and graphics engine update, makes me think that it's not just only this that we're getting. I'm thinking we're also going to get the original game remade. Not in this style, but rather we're going to get the graphical update here. And that would go in turn with what Sega's been saying, that there's going to be a big update. Not that they're shutting the game down, but there's going to be a big update instead of what they're calling, or rather, and what they were calling not Episode 7. And that's because this is, quote-unquote, Episode 7, New Genesis. Rooks, you could potentially be right on that, but at the same time, given that the game is going to be under the same moniker of Phantasy Star Online 2, it's possible that Sega may have worked their contracts that will allow them to carry those costumes over as well. In terms of enemies and everything like that, if they're keeping the whole game together, then we may get a graphical update out of all that as well. It'd be nice to see a new version of, like, the night gear, and unfortunately we didn't get it on the North American side, and it kind of makes sense why, given that it was a collaboration with ASCII. The Border Break boss. Its name is slipping my mind right now, but it would be nice to see an update out of that as well. Let's see here. I'm just going to mute this at this point, and I'll let it roll here. But yeah, we don't know really what else is going to be coming with this. There's a lot of unknowns at this point in all this, but yeah, we're just gonna have to see. But I am just ecstatic regardless, with everything that's going on here, and regardless of if we end up on Algol or not, that this potentially being the planet Palma, I'm still happy that, I called this expansion happening, basically. Even if I don't necessarily have the location correct, I called that we were getting an expansion, with Shiva being sealed away, and the fact that Sega said that they were no longer holding to their 10-year plan, as it were. So, yeah, the Rappies, they look amazing, the environments look amazing, the fact that everything looks open world here is going to be really, really fun here. I can't wait to dive into that here. Looks like we got some floating structures in the background there as well, potentially. Not sure if that's actually flying or just floating. But the action is very similar to what we know currently. So there's just several unknowns at this point, and all we can do at this point is just kind of wait to hear what Sega's going to say about all this here. I don't even know if the Japanese team has said anything more than this, but I would expect we're probably going to get a ton of information about this when they do their next live show, which I think is supposed to be sometime in August. So, yeah. That, and, of course, with the game showing up like this, we are probably going to be seeing minimum specs, required specs going up with this, especially with the PlayStation Vita now going away as well. We'll see, Apollo, if they're gonna keep Rappy slots in Blackniac. If I had to guess, and I was also on a stream earlier today with Work to Game with Brian and Sora. They had brought me onto their show a week or so ago, and then they asked me as soon as this happened to join them again for initial thoughts on that, and I basically said that I'm ecstatic for everything that we're seeing here. And the other thing that if they were to keep everything together with this game, if they wanted to keep it, honestly, I'd be fine with it if it was either just free to play or if it was a single time pay to play to unlock it. But the other thing is, if they wanted to keep everything together within the same executable file, of course, minimum requirement specs are going to go up with this here. So we're probably going to see something along the lines of PlayStation 4, Xbox One being your minimum specifications for your computer, unlike how you could pretty much run PSO2 on a potato in the past. But the other thing that they could do in order to kind of connect everything here is, if this is open world and really going massive, what they could do is they could have a dedicated ship and block that just transitions the player into this new planet here, and then you could put that point as sort of like where the way to the bridge is currently. So make it go to the bridge and then go down to whatever this planet is. Or transition to New Genesis, so something to that effect, and just make it that easy for the player to get here in the first place. The other thing that we haven't heard about at this point is if there's going to be any kind of like alpha or beta test for this thing. Given that in the past Sega has done those sort of things, Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 had a network trial on the GameCube. And then Phantasy Star Online Blueburst had an alpha test that I got invited to long ago, and on the Japanese side. And then when Phantasy Star Universe Ambition of the Illuminous was coming out, there was a beta test of that as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's going to be some sort of beta for this new version of Phantasy Star Online that's coming. So if that does happen, I hope that it's going to be open to all the players that are currently on PSO2. Not just the Japanese players, but also the North American ones as well. And the fact that they've got that English text in there, and I checked out the Japanese trailer as well, that English text is in the Japanese trailer as well. Not the big headline words, but what the players are saying in chat. Apollo, I completely agree with you. The thing that I would also say here is that Sega has a history of revamping their engines all the time. So Phantasy Star Universe was actually based on the Phantasy Star Online engine. And then Phantasy Star Online 2 was based on the Phantasy Star Universe engine. If you saw like that first test of the game that Sega did that video on, I think it was like back in 2014, 2015, they showed that off finally. So yeah, it's possible that this could just be another revamp of the PSO2 engine into this new Genesis engine here. Vanera, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be two separate PSO2 games. It would be all the same game within the same executable file. Because that portion of the game is already working, so there's no reason for them to get rid of it. And in fact, playing through the story on that could be a requirement to getting to New Genesis, if that's what they're going to call the planet. And if that's what they're going to call the planet, then let me make the joke here that I don't think they're going to find Spock there. Let's see here. I'm just reading through chat real quick here. Apollo, potentially they could also do the RuneScape avenue, have the classic and the current version. That's something to that's something that could happen, but we're gonna have to see on that one. The other thing I will note, this says Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Windows 10. I'm concerned that the Xbox One may not have enough power to actually show this game as it should be, and potentially could be holding the game back from the start, just like the Vita did for so long with PSO2. But we'll see. I mean, if it's a graphical and engine update, potentially the old graphics might still be available. I guess we'll have to see on that one. Let's see here. Potentially earning key. And thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, it could be that we're going through a time skip here of 21 plus years here. And if that be the case, then I don't know if I want to give away this spoiler or not. Actually, that's right. All the arcs are test tube, baby. So that really wouldn't even come into play now that I think about it. Let's see. Yeah, I agree with you there, Apollo. Definitely the use of the tweaker is kind of required at some points to make it run correctly. And earning key, yes, that's actually a really good point as well. The 0-4. I pointed that out earlier, but I never made the connection that it might mean the fourth generation of arcs. I just thought maybe it was like a fourth division of the of the arcs. And yeah, Xance, I completely agree. We would have definitely had something like this. Las Vegas, it was so disappointing to see how small that thing was when it came out. Venera, even though you've seen it all, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to spoil it for everybody else here, unless I can get like maybe 2 or 3 other people in here saying it's okay for me to say it. If you want me to say it, just say so in chat here. Let's see. But yeah, the other thing is on the Japanese trailer, they do say that there is no Xbox support, and instead it's PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch support. That's probably going to be through the cloud as well there, like the current version is. And hey, Gideon. Yeah, okay, all right. All right. So the secret here is well, the kind of big thing. There was a reason why there was a wedding lobby as kind of the first event that happened on the North American side. On the Japanese side, I think it was last year. 2 of the main NPC cast got married, and you can probably guess who it is, but I'll go ahead and say it was Zeno and Echo. So that was a fun event for them, to be certain. But yeah, if there was any kind of DNA being exchanged there, I guess they would put that into a test tube, and maybe this new Ash could be Echo and Zeno's child. I mean, who knows at this point? But yeah, that's. Let me look through this one more time just to see if anything catches my eye here. I think we got most of it. Between the fact that we got so many of these. Let's see. You know, I'm wondering if that's. I can't tell if that's a color variation of a summoner pet. I don't know. If that's Torum. I don't think they had a tail that long. But again, we got all these waymarks around here that I pointed out before, the yellow and the white ones. Now, those might be the Moose enemy from Phantasy Star Generations of Doom. All these plant life seem to have these blue lines in them. And yeah, Xance, definitely, this is also going to be a topic that we're going to have to talk about on Day Dawn's arcs this weekend here. Yep, there's the Rampies. There's our new Ash. Signpost, once again, seems to point out that this is open world. There's the gliding feature they're showing off. Text on the blue lines. There's a town. Once again, Ash is going to start gliding down here. And into battle they go. You know what? I don't know if that's clairvoyance now, given that we were seeing those squares all over the area there still. Yeah, that works, Xance. And there's the boss encounter once again, the Savoltis-like creature. Although it seems, you know what? I just noticed it seems to have some sort of a battery on its back there, so that might also be potentially a weak point for it. But yeah, that's Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. So I can't wait to see what this new game is going to look like. It's... You really think that those are new classes and not just what the arcs are currently used to? I guess that could be. The other possibility is it could be a classless game as well. And it could just be based on whatever weapon you're using that changes what your photon arts are. If anything, I would expect maybe that's what the 4th generation of arcs might be able to do, just be able to switch classes on the fly. Or just have all the classes smushed in so that you don't have to manually change the classes, and rather... Or it could be that as well, Earning Key, yeah. Phantasy Star Portable 2, or even, to a degree, Phantasy Star Nova, where you could kind of create your own class. Yeah. So, a lot of unknowns at this point, but this is really exciting. I wanted to do this as quickly as I could, just because I know this was going to be big today, once I saw this was happening. And so, yeah, that pretty much wraps up my initial thoughts on this here. Any last comments or anything before we shut down for now? Venera, yeah, that's what it seems like, where you can just kind of change your weapon at will. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if anything, I wasn't expecting this to show up in the Xbox show. I was expecting this to show up during one of the PSO2 producer live shows. So that was kind of the real surprise out of all this, if I'm being honest here. The fact that it showed up on the Xbox show rather than there. That really took me by surprise. But yeah, this is going to this live stream. I've got it set for DVR, and it will it'll be listed as soon as this is over, so you'll be able to rewatch this from the start if you want. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm looking forward to seeing how the final battle with with Shiva and the primordial darkness go, and how the events of those final scenes are going to lead us to this new Genesis, or potentially it might not have anything to do with it. This could just be another planet that got discovered somewhere. I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyway, with all that said, Thank you for joining me today. This is Prince Brightstar signing off. I'll catch you next time.